Bada ba 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 boop da bada bada ba ba ba. Badu ba 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 boop da badu badu ba ba ba. Bada ba 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 bada 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 ba 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 bada 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 ba 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 bada 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 ba ba bada. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba-da. Hey, yeah, good morning. Welcome to yet another episode of Redstone Lapis Lazuli. It is I, your host, Pogo Kiddo. With check out my different way of doing it. You know why? Because Twitch, they updated their deal and it will automatically cut off that whole beginning thing. It will just cut it off. Like it's not even there. So like the last time I did my intro, Twitch cut it off. I was like, man, forget you, because I had a static intro with no like camera in the beginning. That's why they cut it off. So this time I made sure I was in the picture with some moving pixels so they wouldn't cut it off, and I have an intro. All right, so hey, good morning, happy Sunday morning. Happy Sunday. Wow, what a crazy Sunday, huh? Like the aftermath even. Like we had the Hurricane Ian is like plowing through right now, and that's pretty outrageous. Because I mean, Hurricane Ian like destroyed Florida basically, and then I started looking at like where people live, and they live like right on the beach, like right there. Like I can't believe it. And then I looked around. I'm like, you know what, dudes, your neighborhood is basically what used to be a wetlands, marshland. Like, but you like paved over it and put houses there. But like in your backyard is basically the wetlands again, the Everglades. So you paved over the Everglades to put houses. Like, I don't know. That that just seems like it's probably a bad idea to develop there anymore. You know, let it be the Everglades again. For sure. Because I was just thinking. Look at this. How can I use this? I want to use it. And I want to just like plow through it. I want to use it. It doesn't have a way out on the other side, but we can make one. Okay. And then Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico's different than Florida. Like like a whole bunch of people live in Puerto Rico. Like a whole bunch of people live there. Like I don't know what we can do about saving the natural species of Puerto Rico if there's even any left. Um, but we should help the people who, we should develop it so that the people aren't living in poverty and desolate and squalor. Underwater. Oh yeah, easily. You know how I do it is I put magma blocks. You put magma blocks, um it provides air. Ooh. So maybe I should like keep going straight. and go over here and then plunge under the water. And if the track is on magma cubes, the person on it will still be able to breathe. And they won't get hurt by the magma cubes because they're sitting in the minecart. I think. I should test it before I do it. But then if I'm under the water, I'm wasting like this cave. Like keep it up here and then maybe at this point dip under the water. But then where are we going? Where are you going, my beautiful friend? This is the road that we take to the end. Well, not sure. Because like, where's it gonna come out? I gotta basically bust out. Bust out of here. Or I can just like not even go in there. I can just like maybe dip under here, go through here this way, and then continue out that way along the outside. That way it saves me a lot of work. Anyways, I'm totally off track here. I was talking about Florida and climate change. Then I was off to Puerto Rico and how we need to help them out. I think they fixed the power deal in Puerto Rico like the day that Joe Biden showed up. Like it had been out for like a week, like 10 days without power in Puerto Rico, and then like it finally came on when Joe Biden showed up. That's funny. Well, they got it on. I don't know. You know what? But that just tells me, why don't we have more solar panels? We could use Puerto Rico as like a guinea pig. Sorry, but for green energy, how to be self-sufficient in a hurricane zone with solar panels, right? Can you develop housing that uses solar panels that's resistant to wind damage, and like okay, so you have to worry about impact damage, things like, oh hey, hello, Zalkite, Zalkite. Good morning, Zalkite. I just saw your thing. I don't eat candy. Thank you very much. But when I feed it to my Pokemon, it looks like they're generally unwrapped. Yeah. My Pokemon, they eat candy unwrapped. When I feed my cats, it's unwrapped. I don't eat candy. But hey, what about you, Mr. Zalkite? Zalkite, do you eat candy with or without the wrapper? It's an interesting question. Why you would ask that? Because it's just not a normal thing to ask. So I was talking about how to make Puerto Rico self-sufficient. With solar panels. That way they wouldn't be dependent upon some centralized company to give them power. If everyone generated their own power through solar panels and other passive means, it would be great. Hey, all right. Well, hey, welcome to my channel, Zelkite. Hey, so I'm making a train line here in creative just to like tour around my island. But then I also talk about like what's going on. Do you know about the Hurricane Ian, that just is like flying through right now? Hurricane Ian came out of the Atlantic and tore through Puerto Rico, and it knocked out their power. They've been out without power for like 10 days. And then it flew over Cuba, and it did so much damage to Cuba that their government, for the first time in years, they're like asking the United States for help. That's how bad it is in Cuba. Then Hurricane Ian flew over to Florida. Yeah, for like 10 days. I don't know how long. Like a week, 10 days, a long time. They're without power. And then it flew over Florida and it just tore up Florida big time. And now it's like it whapped back over. It went through the Gulf, it went through Florida, and then whapped over or back through the Atlantic, and is now going up through the South. Like it's crazy. It's crazy. And these storms are going to happen more and more and more. And I'm thinking, you know, if we accept the fact that these storms are going to happen more and more and more, what we should do is make housing in a way that accounts for that fact. Like it's a fact. Global climate change is a fact. These storms are going to become more numerous and powerful. We could try to build in the old ways, but it's not going to work. Look what happens. Things get blown up. Like that's building cheaply and stupidly. We got to think with our brains here. Like we've advanced a lot since the olden days. We can create housing that is both resistant to hurricane strength winds and generates independent power passively. You don't need a central power location. And if you can generate power passively, you can generate clean water. Not a lot, a little tiny bit, because you can't generate a lot of power. But if you can generate a little power, you can generate clean water. I'm telling you. And we should use Puerto Rico. And we can. Puerto Rico is small enough of an island where you can actually, you can contain your little experiment because it's all on one little island. But it's a big enough population that if it works, you could scale it. If you could scale it out across the island, you can easily transport it over to the mainland, United States, and across the world. It'll be the model. It'll be the model for every other island nation. You could take what happens to Puerto Rico if we can transform Puerto Rico, and then we can take that and sell it to the Philippines. And then Philippines would love us. They'd be our best friends. They wouldn't even talk to China anymore. And that's what it's about, having friends. You want the Philippines to be our friend, not China's friend. I mean, they can be China's friend too, right? But there's friends and then there's friends. Yeah, well, let me check that stat. How long was Puerto Rico without power? Puerto Rico without power, 10 days. Yeah, dude. 350,000 without power in Puerto Rico for 10 days after Fiona. That was a while ago. Is that what it is? Fiona? It's not Ian? Or is that a different storm? Holy shit. See, I don't even know anymore. I can't keep track. But Florida's all messed up. Let's just keep going here. Florida is got blown up. Ha ha ha. Oh wait, now I can't turn. It has to go like that. No, no way of doing it. I can't turn and go down at the same time. I mean, I can, I guess. Here, like this though, like. Oh no, that's not gonna work either. But it has to go like that. But no, it still won't work. Let's go 2. That's it. All right, here. So yeah, it's so that's we can use this as an opportunity to build back better. That's funny. That's hilarious. But really, I mean, really, that's the way it is. Also, we should take this as a sign. I was saying earlier that like I was looking at a place of the houses. The houses are basically built in the Everglades. Like that's terrible. That's where the animals live, and the Everglades are there for a reason. Everglades just didn't sit there being Everglades for because they wanted to, because it like for random whatever randomness, because it looked pretty. It's there because it's barely above sea level. It basically is like, it acts like a big, huge, like marshland. It's like a filter. It's a filtering system. That's why there's a whole ecosystem around it that was very, very, very unique. The manatees. I don't know what else used to live there. Well, the manatees for sure. They're awesome. But like, what are we doing? Like building, like we're basically paving it over and building houses on top of the marshlands, and those animals basically die. They have nowhere else to go. They die, and the things that make America unique become extinct. And that's a tragedy. It's a tragedy. I don't want this to happen. Okay, turn, go down, turn, down. Okay, hey, check it out. It works out. Okay, then I gotta figure out how to do this. How am I gonna get the turn through here? Ooh, I like this being barely above the water. Oh, not gonna make it. I gotta start the turn earlier. Maybe make it a tighter turn. Oh, no. Turn the other way. One, 1, 2, 3, 4. It's not. Oh, there. Perfect. That's perfect. Perfect. And I can use this wall as for something. Ba 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 da ba. Nice. Nice. Well done. All right. How long have I been going? Like 20 minutes. And I made a little addition to my train line. I gotta curve it back around. I want to come to this cave. And then maybe scale the mountain. What's that up there? What's that? Nothing. It's just random glowy stuff. Okay. Ooh, it's dark. Okay. Potion, night vision. Cheat. All right, hey, let's get to like talking about stuff before I get too far up out of the gate and go astray. Let's recap how we came to that great point 8 like fate and tell the fake why they can't create. All right. Yeah. Hmm. Okay. Right. What do we got going here? What do we got going? Um, the next thing on my line. So to go on my little how do you clear text chat? Because that's in the way. Is there a way to clear it? I don't know what's Mojangles. Oh no! I didn't want to set the world spawn to be there. It should have fallen. Oh no! Let me go set the world spawn to where it's supposed to be. This is where the world is supposed to be, where you're supposed to spawn. Okay, let me like fix that real quick. I don't know if that changed anything, but okay. I wanted just to clear the text out. And I'm pretty slow today. I had a hard time building myself up to like even do this. It was pretty tough. All right, what do I got here? Jeez Louise, it's so bright. Okay. So, la 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 la. You know, or I don't know if you know, but I live in the great state of Oregon. Oregon's a fantastic state. It's a fantastic state. We're doing great things here, but our governor, her time is up. Democratic Governor Kate Brown, her time is up, and we're going to have an election for a new governor this 2022. But this race is a little bit different. This race is different. You have your normal Democrat, and you have your normal Republican. But this time, we have a spoiler in the race. There's a spoiler. So things may not go the way they're supposed, like that you would imagine them to go. Let's look here. So you have three people running the race. The Democrat is Tina Kotek. She used to be the Democratic Secretary of State. I don't know. I forget what it is. She's basically the Democrat running. She's the Democrat running. And then on the Republican running, you have Christine Drazen. So she has come out and said that she says Joe Biden is the president, and that Donald Trump lost the 2020 election. She said that. However, she's still a Republican. That with everything that goes along with it, right? So she's basically on the team of white supremacy. That's what Republicans are nowadays, right? Republicans nowadays are white supremacists. Now, you have also on the right, you have someone called Betsy Johnson. So she is a conservative Democrat. Think of let's see, what's his name? Kurt Schrader. Kurt Schrader was a conservative Democrat. When you think of Betsy Johnson, think of Kurt Schrader. What did Kurt Schrader do? Kurt Schrader worked really, really, really hard for the pharmaceutical industries. So hard that he fought against the Democratic Party, and he worked with the Republicans a lot to make sure that Republican priorities got pushed through whatever the Democrats wanted to do, because the Democrats had a very, very slim majority in the House. So Kurt Schrader, conservative Democrat, works with the Republicans to thwart the Democratic agenda. That's what Betsy Johnson is in this situation. She served as a conservative Democrat in the Oregon State Legislature, and she worked with the Republicans to stop the Democratic agenda from happening. So she's basically a conservative. She's a Republican. She works with the Republicans. She may not be a Republican, but she works with the Republicans. So she's in the race to take away votes from Tina Kotek. Right? So normally, Oregon hasn't had a Republican governor since like the 1950s. We've been very, very consistent in voting Democratic governors. But this past governor had some pretty big challenges. With COVID, and with the BLM protests, and with the right-wing focus on Portland as their place to attack, it's put a lot of pressure on her, and so that created an opening for Betsy Johnson to come in and say, "Oh, look at me! I'm not like Tina Kotek or Christine Darzan. I'm different. So yeah, another way to looking at Betsy Johnson is Andrew Yang. She's Andrew Yang, basically. She's business. She's business, Republican. So that's our thing right now. Now, here's another way of like separating them out, right? Tina Kotek, Betsy Johnson, Christine Drazan. Okay, so I got this from an MSN story from Hillary Barrund, who writes for the Oregonian and Oregon Live. There was a governor's debate here in Oregon where all three of these people went on stage and they staked out positions. So the first thing that they wanted to do was check out Measure 114. All right, this is a measure that Oregon's like initiative to make people have to obtain a permit and pass a background check to buy a gun, and ban the sale of magazines that hold more than 10 rounds. So that's like gun control. It would be better if we did gun control at the federal level, so it was uniform across the whole state. There was no guessing patchwork nonsense of that, like which county, which state, whatever. It'd be the same thing over and over. But for some reason, the white supremacists, we can't get comprehensive gun control legislation passed. I mean, we got, I think, an assault rifle ban passed, maybe through the House or the something, but I don't know how good it is or what's up with it. But it's something. Anyways. Oregon's trying to do something, right? We had a mass shooting in our school in Umpqua, in community college, and then we had this just recently a mass shooting, well, almost mass shooting in Safeway, where two men were killed. An 86-year-old guy who saw what was happening and basically sacrificed himself. He was to save other people. He fought the gunman hand to hand. He had no weapons, and he went to stop the gunman who had a fucking assault rifle. And of course he got gunned down, but he bought time for others to escape. What a hero. It's sad that he had to do that. It's sad. He could have mentored people. He could have like helped his wife. He could have helped his grandkids. He could have volunteered. He didn't have to die. And then another person, an employee also tried to stop him. He tried to stab the guy with like a produce knife or something to stop the gunman. And that guy was like 66. He had a family. He was like working toward his retirement. He was almost there. He almost had like where he could just retire and just sit back and chill and be like, yeah, all right. No, instead he tried to fight the gunman. Like way outmatched, way outgunned, and he still tried to do it. Heroes, right? That's what Americans are. We're full of people like that. We're full of people like that. But it's terrible that we have to throw them away. We throw them away on garbage like this, on wasteful things like this. You threw away your gold on nothing. This could have easily been prevented. Easily been prevented. We could have saved those men. And for what? So Oregon's trying to do something about it. We're trying to do something about it, right? We got this stupid patchwork, like state by state deal. We can't get federal gun legislation passed, even though that would be the best. And so Oregon's trying to do something. And so let's look at what's going on. Let's look at the positions. So Kotek, the Democrat, said she's the only candidate for governor who supports the ballot measure. Right? She's tried working with the Democrats to try to get gun control to stop people from dying. Right? Number one goal, stop people from dying. Stop people from dying. Yeah, you want to respect rights and liberties, but let's get down to it. People are dying. You can respect rights and liberties and have people not die. That's also a right to not die to random gunfire. The right to be secure in your life, that's like in the Constitution. You have to, the state needs to guarantee that. If the state is not guaranteeing that, the state is doing something wrong. And we don't have to guess about where it's coming from. It's coming from the guns. Because you can look, no other developed nation has this problem that we do. Every other developed nation has taken care of their gun problem through comprehensive gun control legislation. Why haven't we? Why haven't we created a comprehensive gun control legislation? Because of the white supremacists. Why can't we have nice things? Because the white supremacists. Okay, so next, right? That's Kotek. She's on board with gun legislation and gun control legislation. So you have the Democrat who comes in. Oh, not the Democrat. You have the Republican, Drazen. Of course, Drazen, she's going to be anti-gun control legislation. But look at how she puts it. Look at how she justifies it. More gun control laws will not prevent every single tragedy from happening. So she is using perfect as the enemy of the good. If a law can't stop every single tragedy from happening, we shouldn't have it. So in other words, Drazen would be against seatbelt laws because they don't prevent every single person from dying in a traffic accident. Drazen would be against helmet laws because they don't prevent every single person from getting a head injury. Drazen would be against rape laws because rape laws don't protect every single woman from being raped. Like, do you see her logic? It's broken because she's a white supremacist. She belongs to the white supremacist party that tried to overthrow the government. Republicans tried to overthrow the government of the United States. Right? It's pretty easy to see that their entire brains are broken. They don't have a clear logic. Like, if they try to be clear with their logic, it's so easy to see how it's broken. So, like, the reason why she doesn't want to put gun control legislation is because it wouldn't be perfect, and she makes perfect the enemy of the good. All right. So her right wing overthrow white supremacy is pretty clear. Okay. Now Johnson said she opposes the ballot measure in part because she believes the permit process is unwieldy. Right? What? And places an undue burden on small police departments. Now, no, it doesn't. Because if you read the legislation, did I have it? Oh, I didn't. Oh, I didn't save it. Shit. Can I get it real quick? If you read the legislation, ballot 110, Oregon ballot measure 114. No, it's 110. Is it 114 or 110? Yeah, 114. Thought I got this one. Oh, where'd it go? Where'd it go? Right here. Okay. Okay. Look, what does 114 do? It would be issued enact a law outlining a procedure to apply for a permit to purchase. So a permit to purchase permits would be issued by the Department of State Police, not by small local state police departments, but by the Department of State Police. That's a big difference, right? I would question if I had to contact my local police department and ask for a gun permit from them, because they know me, they know the neighborhood, they know the people around, right? So if it's pretty good likelihood they might be involved in organizations that are antithetical to my existence, and so local police departments may not want to issue permits to me, because of like they know me personally and they're involved in local networks and they know where I stand vis-a-vis to where he stands. But if from a state if it's a state police department, that's a big level of separation. State and local, huge level of separation of bureaucracy. I have, like, when you look at when state people have no idea what's going on in these individual counties or cities, no idea. They're just random, like, permits. They're just applications. They're just applications with text. Everyone looks the same. Everyone looks the same. You have no idea if they're connected to what organization or what their political affiliation is. So it's not a burden on local state police departments, who I would question anyways. It's going to be it's not going to be on local police departments, but it's going to be on the state police department. So Betsy Johnson's justification does not work. And previously, she also opposed legislation backed by her own party while she served as a Democratic state lawmaker. So just like Kurt Schrader, she bucks the Democratic Party and the Democratic agenda to help out the Republicans. This is the same position she's playing right now. It's the same role. Betsy Johnson is in there to act as a third-party spoiler to stop the Kotek from winning. Because if it was just Kotek and Drazen, Kotek would win, no problem. So you could also another tell that Johnson is a right winger is that Oregon is having a hard time with education right now for a number of reasons. But one of those reasons, a big reason, was the COVID pandemic, which forced kids to stay home in order to not die and not kill their grandparents. And that caused a lot of contention here in the state of Oregon. And so obviously the kids' education suffered because of that COVID thing. Well, Betsy Johnson is going to use this problem that happened with COVID to attack the teachers union. To attack teachers. Man, see, that's a tell. That Betsy Johnson is not really a Democrat. She's more on the she's a Democrat like Kristen Sinema is a Democrat. So let's look at that. So let's look. It would be the Oregon. It would be the Oregon State Police that would be issuing the permits, and they're different from other state police highway patrol agencies in that OSP has many other areas of specialization and responsibility. In addition to the patrol division, OSP has a criminal division, detectives, arts, and explosives, SWAT, DPU, which I don't know what, dignitary protection unit. Ooh, protecting dignitaries. Mobile response team, a Forestnick service division, a fish and wildlife division, game wardens, a medical examiners division, an Oregon State Fire Marshals division, and is one of the few law enforcement agencies in the United States that monitors the security of the state lottery. So it would not fall upon the background checks wouldn't fall upon the local police departments. It would be state police departments. Okay, so it's just I'm just telling you, Oregon. I'm just telling you that they're trying to pull a fast one on you. The fascists. The way they pull a fast one on you is that they're trying to get you to get tricked by Betsy Johnson. But she's a Republican. She's basically Republican number 2. There's 2 Republicans in this election, in this governor's election in Oregon. So another thing I was talking about, I went to get a haircut. I got a haircut, and I overheard a conversation. I overheard it because I wasn't in the chair. It wasn't at me. Like, I just happened to overhear it. And this guy was saying, so here in Oregon, we passed a measure called Measure 110. Measure 110 decriminalized heroin and methamphetamines and other stuff, other drugs. Basically decriminalized a bunch of hard drugs because the people of Oregon recognize that the criminalization of drugs neither helps the people addicted to drugs nor stops the crime associated with drug use and the criminalization of drugs. The criminalization of drugs creates more harm than it prevents. So Measure 110 was passed in order to create harm reduction strategies that would help the people and reduce the harm. So I'm sitting there waiting to get a haircut, and I overhear this conversation. And this person is telling me that they're going to vote for Drazen because Drazen wants to recriminalize the possession of heroin and methamphetamines. Why? Well, because this person knows a person whose son was addicted to heroin. And because heroin was legal, that son could go out and after they got arrested and they got released, they went out and got addicted to heroin again. And because it was legal, they overdosed and died. And because of that, they wanted to make heroin illegal for everyone again. Okay. Now wait a minute. Now back up. Hold on. I understand. That's a trauma response. That's a trauma response. That person hurts real bad. That hurt real bad. They know this person. They're real close, and they saw this life needlessly thrown away. It was a bright, beautiful life needlessly thrown away for neglect and for a lack of understanding and for a dysfunctional system. That's why that person died. And yeah, and it hurts so bad that they just want to make it all go away. So I can understand the trauma response of wanting to recriminalize heroin and methamphetamines. But all we have to do is look at Michigan and, well, anywhere in back east to see where it is still criminal, where it's still illegal. It's they never changed it. What's happening there? What's happening? People are still dying. People are still overdosing, but now you have a criminal element. Gangs are making a lot of money selling it. So they have an incentive to go around and push it and find more people and build criminal networks to move more stuff, to hurt more people, to make more money. It doesn't matter if it's criminalized. They're going to do it because it's criminalized. That's why it makes them money. But this guy having a trauma response, he wants to go back there. He wants to go back there. I understand why he would do that, but he's still wrong. It's still a wrong response. It's a trauma response, right? So it's not necessarily rational. So like I'm going to acknowledge his pain. I'm acknowledging this guy's pain. I'm acknowledging the fact that it hurts to lose someone. It hurts. Absolutely it hurts to lose someone. That I'm not going to deny that. But you can't let the pain make you lose your rationality and make you act in irrational manner. Because if you get hurt and run right back to the thing that creates more of that, you're just going to create more pain. And you're just going to make it worse. You haven't made anything better. You have to look at it. You got to look at it clearly. So there's this guy named John on Twitter. Oh man, I guess I'm stealing his stuff. I'm going to reproduce it. But it's on Twitter, and it's not like he didn't lock it. So, and I'm using him in support of what he's saying. I'm supporting what he's saying. So you have to understand the program from Initiative 110 that allows for harm reduction to happen, that got mismanaged. There's a whole bunch of money that hasn't been spent yet to help people out. So the program really hasn't gotten off the ground yet. It needs to get going before it can go. And I think they finally worked out what to do to make it go. Once they make a program and have a way to figure it out to disperse the funds, I think it'll start flowing. But this guy makes a point. Most of the money went to help those recover from addiction. Treatment can cost thousands to tens of thousands per person. A needle exchange serves dozens a day and costs dollars. Narcan is like $20 to $40. Of course the number served will be a majority harm reduction because that's the easiest to do. Not everyone is overdosing and requires Narcan, right? Not everyone is going to go in and say, yo, I want to quit stuff right now. A lot of people are, yo, I just want clean needles. Can you help me out? Awesome, thanks. Here, you can provide 100 people with clean needles, fentanyl test strips, and Narcan for the same price of one person going to 30-day inpatient treatment. Harm reduction can also include medicated assistant treatment like methadone and subozone, I don't know, to help people get off heroin, fentanyl. So let me tell you a story. Last week, I went to this Punks in the Park free punk show they had in the park over here in Salem. And that was awesome. It was cool. And it was neat, right? And so we're just hanging out, but homeless people live in the park. So, all right, that's just what it was. And so I'm there hanging out, like listening to the music, just chilling. And I see this woman, like, she's trying to move, she's homeless and she's trying to move her shit, but she's got too much shit and she can't handle it. And she's by herself. So, like, I just go to volunteer and help her out. So she has this big box of her, like, bedding and her in clothing and stuff, so it's heavy. But I pick that up and help her carry it to like the edge of the park where she wants me to carry it. And then she is trying to carry her like feminine products and stuff, and they're falling out all over the place. And she's just trying to like, and she's like, I can tell watching her, she's not like, she's having a hard time keeping herself focused, keeping herself gathered. She's kind of frantic, I don't know, scattered. So, and she's literally scattered as all her belongings are flying around and she's trying to keep things together. But she gets her things together, and I move it to where she wants, which is to the edge of the park while the show's going on. And then I asked her, "Are you okay?" She's like trying to talk to me, but I can't understand her. She's like blah 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 blah, and I don't understand. I'm like, I don't understand what you're saying. And then she slows down enough to say that like she's staying over there. If I want to come hang out with her, that's cool. And then she's like, I'm not addicted to drugs. And then she shows me her arm, and on her arm were gigantic like pus things all up and down her arms. So basically, they were infected. They were infected injection sites. And I'm like, yeah, it's okay. I'm cool. I'm just gonna go back and enjoy the show. If you're all right, I'm cool. And she's like, okay, all right. And then like that was it. Harm reduction. That woman is not gonna go in for treatment. I don't think she would, right? But if you could get her, if she could have needles that didn't mess up her arms and get her infected arms to make her suffer more, like I don't know, she would not be in suffering. Like I'm glad she had feminine products, right? Like that's good. She had stuff for that. Like someone's taking care of her somewhere. At the park, there were people giving out stuff to people that they would need who are homeless. Like, so that's good. That was good. It was a good show. But this is what this guy's talking about: harm reduction. You can't always reach people with everything. Sometimes the best you can do is make sure they have clean needles and they have a place and they have like good stuff that they make sure that what they're injecting isn't going to kill them. It's like if that's the best you can do, that's better than nothing, than doing nothing, which is what you will do if you go back to recriminalization. You would do nothing for that woman if you go back to recriminalization. Oregonian said that only 1% sought to help for addiction, but 12% used peer support. Certified recovery mentors have the same basic addiction counseling skills as certified alcohol and drug counselors, but can also act as a caseworker to help with other resources. Peer support is increasingly becoming an avenue for seeking and maintaining recovery from addiction and has been very successful. Often, CRMs can help with resources such as housing, treatment, vocational training, and basic needs. They often work in treatment and recovering housing. So, that woman who I helped in the park, I wasn't in a position to do anything, right? I don't have any of those skills. Like I'm not a drug and alcohol recovery person. I'm not a what was that called? What did he call it? I'm not a certified recovery mentor. I don't have basic addiction and counseling skills. I don't have it. I didn't take that training and those classes. I'm not your guy for that. But that would have helped out this woman a lot if we could have got someone to help her out. If the person helping her wasn't like wasn't me. Yeah, if the person helping her wasn't me, it was like an actual certified peer recovery person, like she could have got helped out with a lot more, because at that point she was open to it. At that moment, at that position, when you go down to meet them where they are, I think that's the problem. I think that's a major problem we have in our society, is that we expect people who need help to come to us. And that is like the stupidest thing to do. That's like the stupidest thing to do. You don't make people who need help, you don't make them come to you. When people need help, you go to where they are. You go to where they need help. Like at that moment, at that park, standing there on the curb with busy ass traffic going around everywhere and a punk park going over there, and most people just not paying attention. I mean, they're doing their thing, right? Here's this woman who's homeless, kicking her shit around, trying to get away from the music. Her arms are all infected, and she's sitting there trying to turn a trick with me. I mean, I shouldn't say that. I mean, like, trying to make money, like selling sex work to me. Like, man, that's awful. And I had nothing to offer her. I couldn't help her out. Like, the best I could do is help her move her stuff. Like, if you go down and meet her, if I would have been someone else, if I would have been like one of these guys, I could have been like, hey, person who needs help, like your arm looks messed up. Let me get you some like medical treatment for that. Hey, like you looks like you're selling yourself to get money to get drugs. What if I could get you a supply that doesn't require you selling yourself so you can use that money for something else? What if I could hook you up with housing so you're not kicking your shit around on the street? like, like, what if I were someone else? but this other guy who I listened to while getting a haircut wanted me to be a cop to put her in prison. There was another 15%. There was another 15% that received help with housing. This housing is mostly recovering housing, where they also have access to many other resources and peer mentors to help increase self-determination, bridges to change, miracles. Ron Williams of Health Justice Recovery Alliance gave an update last weekend onto Measure 110 funds at Oregon Recovers Walk for Recovery. Another $270 million was just released. In Multnomah County, $58 million went to over 40 organizations. So the problem was the money that got passed for Oregon 10 got tied up because the government didn't know what to do with it. Didn't have an organ, a system to use that money to do anything. They're like, what? You want us to do what with all this shit? What? All right. Who's gonna do it? And Kate Brown's like, it's not me. And this other one's like, it's your job. And this other person's like, no, it's your job. And so these people are like, oh, no. They're bickering, and they didn't fucking do shit. So in the meantime, this barber's friend, shit. This barber's friend's son fucking overdoses and dies because the funds got tied up with government bickering. So I understand his trauma pain of just wanting to start over, but it hasn't even started yet. And I'm telling you, like, going back, there's no going back. We can't go back. We cannot go back. There's a reason. There's a good reason why we decriminalized it. If you need to look at and figure out what that reason is, just go back east. Go to a state where it's still criminalized and see what they're like. We can do better. We can absolutely do better. Okay. What's this number 3? What I that? Oregon State Police. That's right. Okay. So yeah. So remember, this is the Democrat. This is who you want to vote for if you want to keep Oregon moving forward. This is a white supremacist. They want to overthrow the government. They want the overthrow the government party. And then this person here, oh no. All right, this person here is the spoiler. She's here to help her take power. These two are working together to help Republicans take power. So keep this in mind when you vote. So she wants to make sure that what happened in Umpqua Community College and in Bend, Oregon Safeway doesn't happen again. She doesn't want this to happen again. These two basically want to help white supremacists overthrow the government. So vote accordingly. So because it's important, right? It's important. Look what's going on. So the coup, right? The coup that Republicans are trying to overthrow the government. This is a thing by Asha Rangappa that helps to explain like all the moving parts, all the parts of what's going on here. Dude, I'm having a hard time with OBS. Okay, there. Lock. Okay. Asharingapa. So the way this works is that Donald Trump with John Eastman and Mark Meadows are the center, and they have many different ways of trying to overthrow the government. One way was through Jeannie Thomas and SCOTUS and SOTUS. Uh, uh, One way was through the Department of Justice. One way was through the letters to Senate states with false claims of voter fraud. But another way was to go to individual states and try to pressure the Secretary of State of each of these states to overturn the votes and give the election to Donald Trump. So that failed, right? That failed on multiple levels. So in order to make sure it doesn't fail again, they're trying to overturn, basically elect people to become the Secretary of State. So, and they believe, let's see, candidates who have denied the 2020 results sought to overturn them or refused to affirm the outcome. So basically, in all of these states, there are candidates running that don't believe Joe Biden is the president. They believe the fiction that Donald Trump. They believe in the coup. In other words, they believe in overthrowing the government. And these are the states that are electing the blue ones are the states that are electing their Secretary of State, which is a lot of them, and the tan ones are the states that are electing public officials who have the authority to appoint a Secretary of State, so that if the governor wins in this state, they can appoint whoever they want to become the Secretary of State who runs the elections of that state. So if Greg Abbott wins the governor, he'll appoint a Secretary of State to overturn I don't know if that's Greg Abbott. I don't know who it is actually. I don't know what it is in Texas. But the state official will appoint the Secretary of State that wants to overturn the election, that doesn't believe in democracy anymore. Because that's what it comes down to. Do you believe in democracy? If you do not believe in democracy, then you do not believe in the 2020 election and you want to overthrow democracy. And that's what all these states with stars have candidates running that want to overthrow democracy. That's why it's very, very important that you vote. Asharingapa, the Ben shooting. 6 Republican-led states sue to overturn President Biden's plan to cancel up to $20,000 in student debt for millions of borrowers. Because, remember, Republicans don't believe in transferring money from the rich to the poor. They only believe in taking money from the poor and giving it to the rich. You have to understand their view of the shape of society is completely different. It's completely opposite. They don't believe in democracy. They don't believe in that. They don't believe that power should be distributed into the people. They believe it should be concentrated at the top. So if so by forgiving student loans, you take the money from the top and you shove it back down to the bottom. Republicans don't like this. They're trying to stop it. They want it to stop so that money can continue to accrue to the top and power continues to go to the top. That's why they sue. They don't want it to happen. It's pretty simple. 110. This is another great picture by Asharingapa. So the big deal right now is about the stuff that FBI recovered from Mar-a-Lago. Remember, Donald Trump stole a bunch of stuff from the United States, and he kept it at Mar-a-Lago. So we'll look at the evidence recovered at Mar-a-Lago, right? Some of it was Donald's personal property, like his passports and his medical records and his tax records. And some of it was attorney-client privilege documents, but most of it was evidence of a crime. So that includes items demonstrating personal possession and control, clothing, news clippings. It's personal property, right? It's Donald's personal property, but it's also evidence of a crime because it shows, this personal property shows that Donald possessed these things. They show that Donald intended to possess all these items as his own items. He didn't just take the things, he claimed ownership of the things. So he is trying to say these things are his when they're not. He stole them from the United States. So it's all evidence of a crime. Included in all evidence of a crime is also items subject to crime fraud exception to attorney-client privilege. So maybe a few things are related to attorney-client privilege docs, but it's not at all the majority of what was taken back from the United States. But it also shows that Donald Trump intended to keep all the items that he stole because he mixed them with his own personal things. This is personal stuff that he mixed them with. It's evidence of a crime. You see? So then you go even further in this evidence of a crime. Then you see government property, which is the evidence he has of Macron and gifts from foreign leaders like from Kim Jong-un. And then in the government property, you have even more distinctions, right? You have presidential records, which is Kim Jong-un's love letters and his Sharpie map. When he drew the map, when he used the map to, when he drew, when he used the Sharpie to draw on the map to extend, to pretend that he extended the reach of a hurricane to hit Alabama, that's a presidential record. So that's government property. That's not his. That's government property, right? Then then you have classified records that he stole. They're not his, right? They're not his. He doesn't own them. He tried to say they were his because he mixed them with his own stuff, but they're not his. That's why this stuff is evidence of a crime, because it was mixed with the classified stuff. Right. And then finally, you have items subject to executive privilege. This is what Donald Trump wanted the special master for. Just this stuff. He wanted the special master because, wait, guys, there's some stuff in there that you can't see. So, and then some of those things that are executive privilege are also classified records. So, what happened? So we're here at this point, and Donald Trump said we need a special master, and Judge Cannon said, okay, let's get a special master. And they picked the special master, Judge Deary. Judge Deary, everyone said Judge Deary's a good guy. Let's Judge Deary do it. So Judge Deary comes in and says, okay, here we go. We got these records, right? So tell me, are all of these things, Donald Trump, you're the one suing, because he's the one suing. He wants a special master. All right, Donald Trump, of all these records, you tell me which of these are classified. And Donald Trump's lawyers are like, we're not going to say anything. So Donald Trump's lawyers didn't say anything. So Deary said, okay, if Donald Trump, if you're not going to tell me of all this stuff, which of these are classified, I'm going to say whatever's marked as classified is classified. And I'm going to give it to the government. Easy. That part's easy. All right. So now we're going to the next batch of stuff. And now he's got the next batch of stuff, right? So this part's done. This part is finished. Donald Trump didn't say anything about this stuff, so it goes to the government. So now we're going over to this part here. To this part here, items subject to executive privilege. So now Deary, now the judge, the special master says, okay, of this stuff, Donald Trump is saying to the press that the FBI planted something in this mess. So I'm, Judge Deary, I'm going to ask you to tell me of all this stuff, which stuff here is the stuff that the FBI planted. You tell me. You tell me what the FBI planted. And the lawyers are like, oh no, oh no. They don't want to say because the FBI didn't plant anything. They don't want to say, because if they say, oh, well, the FBI didn't plant anything, then Donald Trump has to shut up and can't say it anymore because he's lying. Right? He's making this claim in public, and now Judge Deary is like, well, I can't go forward until you tell me which of this stuff is FBI planted. If I can separate out the stuff that the FBI planted, then I can continue on with my job. So the lawyer's like, oh my God, we're in big trouble. We're in big trouble. So they said secretly, they said over to Judge Cannon, they said, hey, Judge Cannon, we can't do this. We need to wait until after the election. We can't tell you which of the documents were planted by the FBI until after the election. We can't tell you. So Judge Cannon, the corrupt judge, Donald Trump's judge, says, okay, Donald Trump, okay, you don't have to say anything until after the election. In fact, I'm going to push all the deadlines until way later. Don't even worry about it, Donald Trump. You don't even have to. You don't have to say anything. You can keep saying to the public that FBI planted things, but you don't have to prove anything. So that's where we are right now with this thing. So now the Department of Justice is like, well, damn. we tried to do the special master thing. We picked the special master you wanted. We did everything you wanted, and now you're gonna like throw it all away? Yeah, forget you. We're going to the 11th Circuit. We're going to the Court of Appeals above you. So now that's what we're waiting for. Now they've appealed it to the Court of Appeals, and they're hoping to get it done quickly. Will they get it done quickly? I don't know. But they're trying. What else is going on? Ukraine. Doing its counteroffensive, and it's very successful. And the United States more than doubled the number of HIMARS, which is long-range missiles, artillery, to help Ukraine retake its territory. That's fantastic. That's causing a lot of problems inside of Russia, because Russia is becoming very weakened by this war of aggression. So if you look at what's happening, over here is Ukraine. Here's where Russia is doing its attack. But Russia is also like colonized and like controlling all these other regions. It wants to have economic control over these regions. So it's a bully. It basically bullies these other regions. And these other regions used to be in the Soviet Union, but then they broke free when the Soviet Union broke up. Anyways, Georgia got invaded by Russia a little while ago. Armenia is currently being invaded by Azerbaijan. I don't know, this one here. They have a treaty with Russia, but Russia is not helping them. Kazakhstan is starting to talk about wanting to sever ties with Russia, because it doesn't like being under control of Russia. And the same with all these guys. All these guys are basically starting to break free of Russia's influence and control and becoming more free. Belarus, the same thing. Belarus wants to be free of Russian influence, because it was used to attack Kyiv. So Belarus was used to attack Kyiv. and they don't want to be used for Russian ambition. That's no good. So Russia's war of aggression is starting to have unintended consequences for Russia. I told you, Putin. I told you that was what was going to happen. It felt good when you had all the power. It felt good when you had all the control. It felt good when you had world leaders coming to visit you. But once you went to war, once you went all in, it got away from you. It got away from you. Now you can't control it. Now things are going haywire and you can't do nothing. Nothing. The best you can do is withdraw and go up into the mountains and retire. That's the very, very best you can do, Putin. Withdraw your troops and retire. Withdraw your troops and retire. That's the very, very best outcome for you, Putin. The longer you drag it out, the worse it's going to be for both you and Russia. Just retire. It would be so much easier to retire in peace. Just retire in peace and rebuild the Russian culture. Like, see this as an opportunity. Like, you don't have to drag it out and cause Russia to suffer because you're going to lose. The longer you drag it out, the worse it becomes. And remember, Putin, there are no such things as tactical nukes. There are no such thing as small nukes. Any nuke you use is going to receive the full weight of reprisal. The full weight of reprisal. There are no such thing as small nukes. A nuke is a nuke. And it will end you. It will end you. Multiple ways. Texas. Fuck Governor Greg Abbott. Yeah, they don't care about kids. Let's look at Texas. Texas says they want to care about kids, so they ban abortions. But wait a minute, a state that criminalizes abortion but ranks last in baby wellness checks, ranks last in criminal care for infants, ranks last in uninsured women, ranks 43rd, the bottom like fifth in maternity mortality, ranks the bottom fifth in school funding per child, and ranks the bottom fifth in child hunger. This state doesn't give a damn about children, or this government, because it's the government. It's the white supremacist government, Republican government, that's causing all the problems. The white supremacist Republican government causes all the problems in Texas. Texas needs to flip blue for the good of the people of Texas. What else do I got? I'm gonna eat it. I'm gonna eat up all my stuff. Yeah, remember things. Like, I like to use this to keep perspective. This help keep perspective. The United States is this chunk right here. That's us. That's it. China and India are ginormous. They're ginormous. That's where most of the people are. Most of the people in the world are Hindu. Their belief, it's not Christian. Most people aren't Christian, they're Hindu. Or I don't know, Confucius, I don't know. But they're not Christian. Maybe they are, I don't know. But yeah, we're a tiny part of the world. We should keep things in perspective about like where we fit in the world. We're tiny. Okay, what else do I got? Capitalism. This is a giant threat on capitalism. By Jason Hickel. People also often assume that capitalism is defined by markets and trade. But markets and trade existed for thousands of years before capitalism. Capitalism is only 500 years old. So what is distinctive about this economic system? 3 things. Well, more, but 3 for now. First and most importantly, it is defined by enclosure and artificial scarcity. Remember, the enclosure, what is enclosure? Enclosure is taking open land and closing it off and saying this is now private property. You can't use it for anything. That's enclosure. Okay. The origins of capitalism lie in a systemic effort by elites to restrict people's access to commons and independent subsistence in order to render them reliant on wage labor for survival. So you can't live out on nature anymore. You have to move to the city and sell your labor for money to get to survive. Over the past 500 years, this has taken the form of privatization of commons, forced dispossession, destruction of subsistence economies, and, particularly in the colonies, taxing people in a currency they do not have in order to induce them to seek wages in that currency. This continues today with attempts to ensure an artificial scarcity of access to essential goods such as housing, healthcare, education, transit, and so on. Goods that could very easily be provided at high quality on a universal public basis. Where universal public goods do exist, these have usually been won by long-standing struggles by labor movements and other progressive forces, including the anti-colonial movement. Second, capitalism is organized around and dependent on perpetual expansion, meaning ever-increasing production of commodified goods. It is the only intrinsically expansionary economic system in history, meaning it basically has a crisis if it doesn't continually expand. I will disagree with this. Because this is not true. Because master slave economies are also dependent on expansion, continual expansion. Rome had to continually expand. Its empires had to continually expand to get new resources and new slave labor to funnel into Rome, to keep up the elites and to keep up the army, to keep conquesting, to keep that stuff coming in. When Rome stopped spreading, well, because it couldn't, it hit the physical limits of its technology. The further that Rome spread, the more difficult it was to maintain control of the fringes. So because technology just didn't exist, you didn't have telegraph, like the roads were roads. You didn't have like rail, you didn't have like combustion engine. You had the cart and you had crappy ass roads you built yourself. And you had like marauders all over the place. So you hit the physical limits of expansion. And when Rome hit the physical limits and couldn't expand anymore, it collapsed. The same thing with the feudal empires. Feudal empires expanded to capture more territory, to capture more food, to create bigger armies, to capture more territory, to get more food, to create bigger armies, to capture more territory. And if you stopped capturing territory, and if you stopped expanding, that's cool. You could sit in your little territory, but you didn't stop other territories from capturing more land and expanding their territories and becoming more powerful and then forcing you to become a vassal to them. Oh, so if you don't play the game, you get eaten. So if you don't continue to expand, you get eaten. It's always the same thing, right? This contradiction of continual expansion is not unique to capitalism. It's not unique to capitalism. It's just been so it's so deeply ingrained that it's like revolutionary to even see it. But this tendency to expand nonstop is at the core of humankind. It's at the core of humankind, not anything else, of humans. Because what did humans do? Humans took fire. No other animal took fire. And with fire, we did agriculture. And we solved the question of calories. And that's what allows humans to expand in the face of adverse adverse environmental selection. Humans can grow in the face of adverse environmental selection because of fire and calories. So this expansion is fundamental to who we are. This need to expand is fundamental. That's the thing we need to harness, that we need to control. We need to, and the things that we keep externalizing costs. If we can figure out a way not to externalize costs and to become a what do they call it? Homeostasis. If we can find a way to reach homeostasis with our environment, that's when we evolve. That's when we transform from a virus into a macro cell. Once humans can get our deal to be in homeostasis, then we can also scale it down to make our ships in homeostasis, our spaceships in homeostasis, and then we can travel around and go meet people. Right now, but we can't keep our shit together, so that's no wonder no one wants to talk to us. Our shit keeps spreading out everywhere. If we can contain our shit, and process it so we don't spread shit everywhere, then people will hang out with us. But who's going to want to hang out with us right now? No one wants to hang out with a person with a society that's constantly bleeding shit on you. No one's going to want to hang out with you, because then you get shit bled on you. like what? Hi, the Vulcans are going to come meet us now. If they met us now, they would get covered in shit. We would cover them with our shit. We would project onto them our war, our biases, our racism, our patriarchy, our disregard for the environment, our lack of homeostasis. Our pollution would get all over them. And they'd just be covered in gunk and have to leave and like decontaminate. Like, yeah, of course they're not gonna hang out with us until we get our crap together. Until we create a membrane around the planet where we have homeostasis. It's only obvious. Like that's like, why don't you hang out? Why don't you go over to your neighbor when you look at his house, at their house, and constantly like bad smoke is coming out and trash is coming out and there's garbage all over the yard. You don't want to go talk to those people. You don't want to hang out with those people, because like they can't contain their stuff. Their house is not in homeostasis. Our planet is not in homeostasis. We're expanding and transforming nature and destroying the system that creates, and not putting a better system in place. When I talk about destroying the Everglades, that's what I'm talking about. We've built houses on top of the Everglades, destroyed the system that's there, and put a system that's not good, that's worse, in its place. No wonder they're not going to come talk to us, the aliens. We can't even contain our own shit. We can't contain our shit. We're expanding constantly. That's what this is talking about. That's why we have to control our capitalism. So capitalism too, that's the point he's making. Capitalism as well has a crisis if it doesn't continually expand. How does it continually expand? How can capitalism continually expand? There's a few ways of doing it. Number one, it can conquer other territories, and that creates new markets. Then you can dump your excess glut of inventory on this new market, make them sell their labor and for our currency to get money, and then they can use their money to buy our excess glut. That's one way. Another way is to not conquer them with your armies, but conquer them with your banks. Make them dependent upon your economy by putting them into debt, like excessive debt in your currency, so that they have to produce in order to service the debt in your currency. And if they fail to, then you take control of their industry. So a foreign company would take control of a national industry if the government fails to service its debt. That's another way you can take control of expand your your markets. Capitalism expands. In every way that capitalism expands, it has to eat something else. Another way is to conquer like new nature. Like if you can find a way to like conquer like the moon and bring resources back from the moon, that's a way of expanding. You find new lands to conquer. Well, we conquered all of Earth, right? Most of Earth has been like quote quote conquered. Like there's very few tribes, unconquered tribes left. Everyone's sucked into like one system or another on the whole planet. So like capitalism has conquered like pretty much the whole planet. So it would like to go to other planets and eat their planets too. But that's a bad idea. We need to be able to like be in homeostasis and be able to like maintain without expanding, without taking over other stuff. We need to be able to contain our crap and live without eating other people's stuff. Capitalism requires that you eat other people's stuff. It requires it, and it finds dozens of different ways of eating other people's stuff. But like that's the problem with capitalism. You're eating other people's stuff. So to fix it, stop eating other people's stuff and contain your shit. When you can do that, aliens will talk to you. What happened? Okay. Okay, the next thing here. Crucially, under capitalism, the purpose of increasing production is not primarily to meet human needs, but rather to extract and accumulate profit. That is the overriding objective. It is also the main objective of innovation. So that's a problem. If we would use our productive and innovative potential to satisfy human needs, then we would more than cover the whole planet in goodness. We can more than satisfy the whole planet's needs for food, shelter, and healthcare. We can more than easily cover all of that. But yet we have this artificial scarcity in place that instead focuses all of this potential, instead of satisfying human needs, instead of taking care of all the people, instead it generates profit. It generates capital. What the hell is capital? It's not money. Money is not capital. Capital is a special form of like energy. It's the surplus. It's what's left over, that the energy that you don't pay back to the worker. It's a particular kind of energy in a system, in the capitalist system. Capital exists in the capitalist system. It's an energy in the capitalist system. You transform nature with the life energy of a human and you turn it into capital. Capital is a particular form of energy that capitalism eats in order to survive, to perpetuate itself. It doesn't help the humans, it helps capitalism perpetuate itself. Okay. It is important to distinguish here between small businesses, which quite often operate with a steady state using value logic and which obviously preceded capitalism, the mom and pop shop. Distinguish between mom and pop shop serving a need and corporations whose main objective is expansion and accumulation, which define the capitalist era. Because remember, stockholders require corporations to produce a profit, any means necessary. The law said that corporations must produce profit for its stockholders. The problem is that the stockholders, who are the stockholders? The rich, the wealthy, the top 1%. So if the law is that the rich use corporations to produce profit for the rich, it doesn't care about what's good for humans. It's only making money for the rich by degrading environment and by objectifying humans and using them for their life energy to transform that nature into capitalism, into capital. to sustain the process of perpetually increasing surplus accumulation, capital requires an ever-rising quantity of inputs, labor and nature, and it requires these inputs to be obtained as cheaply as possible. This introduces a constant pressure to depress real wages and attack environmental protections whenever possible, in the absence of countervailing political forces. The result is a system that, left to itself, automatically generates inequality and ecological breakdown. Because look at, if capitalism must expand to survive, because it has to, it must expand to survive. And you're at the point where, well, dude, you've taken over the whole planet. You've expanded everywhere. You cannot expand outward anywhere else. Where do you go? If you have to expand and you can't expand anymore anywhere else, but you have to do it anyways, where do you go? You eat yourself. You start eating yourself. So what's the thing you're going to eat? Nature and wages. You're going to pay your workers less money, and you're going to find ways of transforming nature more cheaply. In other words, you externalize more of your costs onto nature. So you might have like you find a way to purify your product, but you have to dump more trash into nature. Well, that's cool. Nature doesn't, you don't have to pay for it if it's out in nature. So it's just a process of hurting and paying workers less money, finding ways to extract more work out of workers by making them do the jobs of 3 people. Like, oh, look, we don't have enough people to cover you, so you have to do your job plus the job this other person would have done, but they're not here. But we're not going to pay you double the wages. We're paying you only half the wages. You see how that works? Capitalism will eat itself if it can't expand. That creates a perverse incentive in the people, because then they get messages broadcast to them saying, oh, you want to go out and conquer new places. Those other people, they're not really people. They're just new markets for us to conquer. That way, we don't have to eat you. We can eat them instead. You see that perverse logic? Like, now the workers are incentivized to be like, well, maybe instead of them eating us, if we can direct our capital to go eat another country and attack them instead of us, they won't hurt us, they'll hurt them. Oh, maybe we'll support this system then. It's perverse. It's a perverse logic. You see how that's what happened to Winston. Hey, Chanti, good morning. That's what happened to Winston in 1984. If you ever read 1984, he got brainwashed into helping the system. He would support the system as long as the system expanded and it hurt other people and not him. He would support it. Okay, so here's the last one. Here's the last. Finally, capitalism is notable for precluding democratic decision making. Even in countries that prize political democracy, democratic principles are rarely allowed to operate in the sphere of production, where decisions are made overwhelmingly by those who control capital, that special energy. The result is that the decisions about what to produce, for what purposes, for whose benefit, and under what conditions are generally made in the narrow interests of the capitalist class. Workers, the people actually doing the production, rarely get a voice at all. So let's look at a way of visualizing that. Think Elon Musk. Elon Musk has a ton of money. I'm gonna get more coffee. Elon Musk has a ton of money, billions and billions of dollars. For a fraction of his wealth, Elon Musk could solve world hunger. He could solve homelessness in the United States for a fraction of his wealth. For a fraction of his wealth, he could have given the COVID vaccine worldwide. He could have made sure everyone in Africa had the COVID vaccine. and the monkeypox vaccine for a fraction of his wealth. Elon Musk could do ridiculous amounts of good with all the power he has. But does he? No. No. Doing those things does not satisfy Elon Musk's ego. It does not satisfy Elon Musk's desire to expand, to continually expand, like ego, to continually expand, to continually generate more capital, because that's what he's eating now. He's eating capital. He's not hanging out with the humans. He's eating capital. That's what he subsists on. He's like Dr. Breen from Half-Life 2. He's working with the invaders, not with the humans. So obviously Elon Musk is anti-democratic. He helps the Republicans in overthrowing democracy in the United States. He's a Republican. He doesn't believe that power should be distributed amongst the people. He believes the power should be concentrated in the hands of the elite, and he's the elite. That's how it works. That's why Elon Musk is a bad guy. Fuck Elon Musk. How's your day, Chauncey? Sorry for going off here. You caught me in the middle of like a rant. Are you here still, or am I like, did I lose you because I was like talking so long? I probably lost you. Okay. All right. So Chauncey's not here. All right. So I'm gonna continue on. I was about done. That capitalism, that rant on capitalism. Like, we can do things a better way. Like, I haven't built like the next station, which is gonna. What did I say it was? The last couple points was, we need Medicare for everyone, free college, free tech training for non-college people, resources for elderly and special needs care people. All of that requires like, the reason why we can't have any of that is because of white supremacy. All of those things help people equally, but white supremacists don't believe you should help people that are not white. So they're opposed to it. That's why we can't have nice things. White supremacists. I don't know. I should probably read poetry, right? I mean, I haven't done poetry in a long time. I haven't written in a long time, but it's because I feel like I don't have anyone to talk to. I'm writing into the void as it is. Like, I too am very isolated. I'm not gonna go shoot up a Safeway. I'm not gonna go shoot and kill people. but yeah. Before, I felt like I was talking to someone. That's why I would like have like, yeah. Gonna sip Alrighty then. I don't know what the future holds. I don't know what's going to happen. Just know we have to hang on and keep going. I don't know. I guess like, we can sit back and look on stuff. What The seasons are changing. And I'm lost behind as the seasons roll on by. I can't sing like Chris Cornell. Oh man, that poor guy, he's gone. Like, what an amazing voice. Chris Cornell. All right. I got nothing else. I got nothing else. I got nothing. I got nothing. Uh, what am I doing? What am I going on? What was the thing? Do I have anything? No, that wasn't it. Governor's race, harm reduction. Yeah, I got it. I think I got it. I talked about what I needed to talk about for today. So, all right. Until next time. Oh yeah. Eventually they're gonna have a. They're gonna have the last um hearing, January 6th hearing in October, and we're gonna find out about how Donald Trump tried to overthrow the government and why all the Republicans are the party of white supremacy. Yep. All right. Until next time, Pogo Kiddo out. Peace.